This is the Fox News voter panel. Is this Frank Luntz is there? No, this is just the Fox News voter panel. I don't know what the name of the host is. And this is probably not what you want to hear on Fox if you're Donald Trump.
And these are undecided voters. It's a focus group here. It was conducted by, here we go. It's a focus group done by Fox News, I guess. So I'm not exactly sure where these voters are from, but.
How many of you say Kamala Harris won after everything you saw tonight? Raise your hands high. Ooh. How many of you say Donald Trump won? Raise your hands high. One.
Ooh.
Okay, is that everybody? Let me do this again. How many say Kamala Harris won? Raise your hands high. I didn't see everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many of you say Donald Trump won?
Ooh.
Okay. So most of you say Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah, most. In fact, double the number. I think it's closer to like.
How many?
There were 4 that were for Trump, and there's how many people there? Like,
Mediaite says in the right above it that it's 12 out of 17.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe that Harris won.
All right. So keep playing that. What's going on?
How many of you say Donald Trump won? Okay. So most of you say Kamala Harris. I want to start by talking just for a second about Kamala Harris. How many of you say Kamala Harris met your expectations tonight? She did what you wanted her to do. Raise your hand if you agree with that. How many say she did not meet your expectations?
Well, those are people who.
Okay, so she won, but she didn't necessarily meet your expectations.
Pause it for a second. Okay.
What did she not
Let me just show you how it's like unbelievably stupid. If presumably these people all came in, if 12 of them think that Harris won, she could have exceeded their expectations. In fact, there were more people who said she didn't meet my expectations than said that Donald Trump won, which clearly means that a couple of people are like, I was surprised. My expectations were, this is like, they're so dumb on this network. It's unbelievable. This is their expert on the focus group.
We're simulating knowledge here.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
How many say she did not meet your expectations?
Okay, so people who thought that she won.
But she didn't necessarily meet your expectations. What did she not do? Yeah.
She wasn't very specific when asked certain things. She skirted around certain issues, but she knows how to pull at your heartstrings. She knows how to be dramatic in a way that will touch the heart of Americans while avoiding the hot button questions.
Okay, you want to say something about that?
I was gonna say, yeah, she put a good performance for the people watching at home, but ultimately she and President Joe Biden has been in office for 3 years now, going on 4 years, and they have yet to do anything. Executive orders have been signed. All these policies that she's saying she's going to implement on day one on presidency. Why did she have to wait until January 20th to do that?
Okay, so I want to talk about this. You're saying that she was light on specifics, heavy on heartstrings. Yes. How many agree with that? She was light on specifics, but she really got into the heartstrings. Raise your hands high if you agree with that. How many felt like she got really into the specifics? Okay, so we're sort of split on this. Tell me, the other people who said that Kamala Harris did not meet your expectations, tell me what she didn't do. Yeah.
Well, I think she has like a pattern. She creates like this emotional picture, speaks passionately to kind of try to evoke emotions in a certain population that they know are kind of clamoring for like women leadership. So she does that. And then also she kind of glossed over the whole black thing because as far as I know, she was Indian. As far as I knew. And that's a major component on why people would vote for her, being, that they think she's black. But she just kind of just glossed over it. She didn't say anything about it.
How many of you agree with that? Okay.
This is the worst focus group I've ever seen.
What else? Yeah.
I mean, she's an attorney, so am I. And when she speaks like she's addressing a jury or a courtroom, right? Heavy on the detail, light on the facts, usually, right? But I think what she did effective tonight was Trump was so bad, he's just like an old suit from like 1987 right now. He just repeats himself, says the same stuff. And she's refreshing in that she's different. I think if he had a different line of attack with her, it would have been more effective. I think she won the debate from my perspective because he was so bad and he just sounds so repetitive. But I think she's weak, right? She's weak on the substance and weak on the facts.
Okay, so let's decide.
So there you go. I mean, this is, incidentally, this is Fox News. He was so bad. And frankly, like, I think their strategy for reaching people like that was that. Like, you don't have to, like, I can be baseline. We're just going to make him look bad. And they did. I mean, Harris made Trump look bad by basically triggering him.
Yeah, and I just, one guy says she's heavy on details. The first two people were saying she's all light on details, like heavy on emotion. I don't know what we were watching. She was doing everything she could not to be emotional, but it's just because.
Well, you know, she's very.
There's something
like,
about her that makes you think that she's emotional.
She's so female-ish.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to put it into. She's not hysterical, but she's sort of like a quiet hysterical. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Here is CNN's Harry Enton with their sort of polling numbers and their debate watchers who won the presidential debate.
And for their candidates, we wanted to know what debate watchers thought. CNN senior data reporter Harry Enton is here with a brand new suit, by the way.
Oh, yes.
He's also running the numbers. That's a new one. I know I'm right.
It's a tan. I haven't worn this in years. I don't know if it's brand new, but it's brand new for you, and I wanted to match you.
A tan suit, by the way.
Tan and a little tan.
We're matching. All right. What did you find here?
Pause it for a second. This was their. Hey guys, you know how what's his face on MSNBC, Kornacki, and the other. They have these fun back and forth. Will you try some of that? Is there any way we could do a little bit of that?
It's also
he's the
in the
numbers guy.
morning.
We want it to be the numbers guy.
It's in the morning, right? So they're also doing morning show banter.
This was received.
Yeah, I'm just going to use a scientific term, and that is that the vice president crushed Donald Trump. All right, so how much did she crush him by? Look at this. First debate winner margins. Look at that. She won by a 26-point margin, nearly matching Trump's margin over Biden back in June when he won by 34 points. Very similar to Joe Biden's margin over Donald Trump back in 2020 of 32 points, and significantly higher than the 2016 margin that Hillary Clinton had over Donald Trump in their first debate, just 13 points. But the bottom line here is debate watchers, and they actually leaned a little bit more Republican than the nation as a whole, believe that Kamala Harris easily won this debate. Again, the scientific term is she crushed former President Donald Trump.
All right. Will we see, though, a change in the polls, a rise or a bump for Harris?
I think that the most likely scenario is that you will, in fact, see a rise in the polls. Why? Take a look at the last 4 times we had a first debate and look at those winners. Did they see a rise in the polls? Yes. Mitt Romney in 2012, Hillary Clinton 2016, Joe Biden 2020, and Donald Trump earlier this year. They all saw rises in the polls of 2 points or more. And given how close this race is nationally, given how close it is in the swing states, do not be surprised if Kamala Harris jumps out to a lead nationally, and don't be surprised if she jumps out to a slight, small lead in those key battleground states. It should still probably be a close race based upon history, but no doubt, at least based upon history, we should expect Kamala Harris to receive a polling bump, and a race as tight as this one that would certainly be welcomed.
I got to think that is probably true. And I think the bigger impact is not just going to be sort of like a minor bump in the polling. The bigger impact is she's got now almost a locked in 2 weeks of guaranteed positive coverage, where the coverage was starting to get a little bit soft for her. And then if we're 2 weeks out, you're in, September 25th territory, let's just say.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, everything turns to Vance and to Walz.
Yep.
Because everybody's going to be hyping that next debate. And that's not going to be good for Trump.
I mean, that's how these things work. Like, I'm convinced that in part her slump was the fact that, the high of the convention is over, but she didn't get a very big convention bump, in part because the media coverage before this debate had been entirely about how she's not agreeing to interviews and that she's not detailed enough too, right? Like, these things can create narratives that affect the polling in very small ways and start snowballing. And, some of that criticism was valid, but to your point, this is going to be the narrative for the next, as you say, 2 weeks. Then she's got 2 weeks to bring it back to herself before we're in Walz-Vance territory. And I'm telling that's not going to go well for Vance.
Oh, I don't think so.
There's no chance.
It's gonna take us just like 2 or 3 days just to get out of the eating cats and dogs cycle. That's my guess.
I've been seeing IMs that it's all over TikTok and everyth's circulating.
Oh my
the
God!
Cats and dogs
It's
thing.
gonna be.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
And this is what you're gonna also. The thing that you're gonna hear now, of course, in like normal, social media. Normal society, you're going to be hearing about him like he got tricked by an internet hoax to believe that immigrants are eating cats and dogs. Now, the reality is not that he got tricked by an internet hoax that immigrants are eating cats and dogs. It's that he is trying to spur the racism and the xenophobia of his political movement to get out and vote and just using sort of narratives that stoke that. But it's going to come across as he's a crazy old man, which, I think that might be, effective in many respects because sort of, his racism and xenophobia is sort of built in. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.